Good morning. Today we're going to be comparing the NexTool S11 Pro and the SOG PowerPint. I've had the NexTool S11 Pro for a few months, and I've been carrying the SOG PowerPint for almost 2 years now. And I really like the NexTool S11 Pro. It punches way above its weight, and I would like to see how it compares to my favorite EDC, which is the PowerPint. So let's start with the NexTool S11 Pro. So it has these anodized scales, which are really good looking. And the tools have this finish, black oxide finish, and it really looks nice. The build quality is also really good. The SOG PowerPint comes in this sheet metal construction, and it's painted over in black. And although it's just paint, it's actually wearing out very well. It's not chipping, and it's giving this very nice patina to it. So the first point of comparison I will be making is the knife, which I think is the best tool to have in an emergency or survival situation. So the NexTool S11 Pro has this HCR14M OV blade, again with that black oxide finish. And it's just about 1 inch and 3/4 long. So pretty usable. In contrast, the PowerPint has this 2-inch long blade. So you have 2 inches here. And comparing the two together, they're actually both quite useful. The S11 Pro's blade actually seems to be thicker. So for this one, I would think I would prefer the longer length of the SOG PowerPint, but not by much. My next criteria are the pliers. So we have nice pliers here from the NexTool S11 Pro. So the tips are nice. And then we have the long nose here, the bolt grippers, and the wire cutters. So I wouldn't cut hardware with this one. And then we have the SOG PowerPint here. So the tip is not as precise and not as thick. But you have the long nose, the bolt gripper, the wire cutters. I think hardware is a little bit possible with this one, simply because it's a little bit thicker. So you compare the two side by side. The SOG PowerPint is obviously thicker and hopefully stronger. So between the two pliers, I would say that the winner here is the SOG PowerPint. It's simply much bigger and, again, hopefully stronger. So my final criteria is the number of tools available. So of course we have the knife here, which the PowerPint also has. And we have a file here. And it's really a good file. We have a crosscut file here and a diamond coated file, which really takes the cake. And you have sort of a flat head here. So you can use this for big flat heads. And then on the other side, we have a pair of scissors, small ones to be sure. The PowerPint also has a pair of scissors. And this one has a wider jaw. This one is narrower. But overall, I think they're useful for more or less similar tasks, basically snipping things, and maybe not the bigger ropes. So for that, you can, of course, use the knife blade. So aside from the scissors, we have a flat head with a bottle opener and a 2.5D Phillips head. There's actually a bonus tool here. The seam extractor tool, which is not going to be very useful because SIMs are on the way out, but this can be useful for other things like maybe reset buttons and I don't know, maybe as a toothpick. So for the PowerPint, aside from the scissors, we have a bottle opener. So quite useful, quite usable. And you have a smaller Phillips head. So it's not as big as the one on the S11 Pro. And then we have a can opener, which the S11 Pro doesn't have. And we have a spare blade, a serrated one. So it's always good to have a spare one. On the other side, we also have a file here, but this is nothing compared to the file of the S11 Pro. So we have crosscut here and single cut here, but definitely the diamond coated file of the S11 Pro is better. And then we have here a rope cutter, belt cutter, and it can come in useful, so it's good to have. And then a small precision screwdriver, flathead. So definitely much smaller than the one on the S11 Pro. But it's also good to have a precision screwdriver. And finally, we have here an awl. So this is very pointy and quite sharp. So again, useful. And you can even thread something through here, a string or a thread. And of course we have the knife. Now, because the screwdrivers of the PowerPint are very small, what I usually do is carry around these spare bits. So this gives me a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead. So utilizing the bit holder of the PowerPint, I can have 2 screwdrivers. So pretty good. And I actually have a mod here for the PowerPint, which is this magnet. And this allows the PowerPint to close with a snap. And at the same time, it sort of helps in keeping the bit in. So it doesn't fall open just as easily as before. So pretty nifty. Of course, it also has these other extras. So for example, it has this protractor here, which I think it's a little bit of a gimmick, but it's there. And there's also this ruler here, so in inches and in centimeters. So let's check the weight. So the PowerPint is 4.16 ounces. Or 117.9 grams. The S11 Pro is 2.9 ounces or 82.2 grams. So the SOG PowerPint is 3 1/3 inches long. Width is around 1 inch at the bottom and a bit under an inch at the top. Thickness is a bit over 1/2 inch at the bottom and 1/2 inch at the top. The S11 Pro is 2 3/4 inches. One inch wide at the bottom and just under an inch wide at the top. Thickness is 1/2 inch at the bottom and around the same at the top. And that's it for my comparison of the NexTool S11 Pro and the SOG PowerPint. I really like the NexTool S11 Pro. The build quality is really good and the tools are actually very good by themselves. It's also smaller and lighter. But in the end, the better pliers of the SOG PowerPint and the larger set of tools wins it for me. What about you? Which one do you prefer? Which one would you carry? Please comment down below and thank you for watching.